My name is Rachael Roberts, and this is my place in Canadian history. My story starts on a small island in the Caribbean called Trinidad. Both of my grandparents, one pair from my mom's side and one pair from my dad's side, came from Trinidad. The first stop I will be talking about are my grandparents from my mom's side. My maternal grandparents decided to come to Canada during a time when Canada had changed their immigration policy. After 1962, the Canadian government uplifted restrictions which allowed several thousands of people from the Caribbean descent to come to Canada. My grandfather was a teacher and was advised that there were many job opportunities in Canada. In 1967, my grandfather flew from Trinidad to Canada and landed in Montreal during Expo 67. He was impressed with the size bustle of this world-class city. While attending the Expo extravaganza being held in Montreal, he met numerous teachers from the Caribbean who said that they had teaching jobs in Ottawa. He decided that instead of going to the Yukon, where his job was being held, he would go travel to Ottawa with the other teachers and trust that a job would be available for him when he got there. In Ottawa, my grandfather had no problem finding a job. However, he found it difficult to do that without support. As a result, my grandmother arrived in Canada 3 months later, leaving their 4 children with my great-grandmother. 1 year later, my 2 uncles arrived, and on Canada's birthday, July 1st, 1969, my mom and aunt arrived in Canada, completing the family unit. So, for my family, July 1st is a day of historical significance, as it is the day they arrived to their new home and signaled the centennial of Canada as a nation. The Canadian climate was difficult for them to get used to due to them coming from a tropical place. They needed coats, hats, and mitts, and were excited to see snow for the first time. Most visible minorities, racism was also a significant black eye that they had to deal with.
People from the British colonies were allowed to come over on work visas, and then were allowed landed citizenship or landed immigrant status, and then were allowed to apply for citizenship. When my father initially was coming to Canada, they said to him that the job that they felt that he would be most suited for would be a job in the Yukon. This is a black man coming from a Caribbean country going to the Yukon, and at that time he had never seen snow. So, I mean, just in terms of that in and of itself, they didn't really understand exactly the challenges that he would experience coming from the Caribbean. In terms of these, the children not really understanding or realizing what a minority was, we would say to them that we had ESP, extrasensory perception, and we could communicate with each other, so they better leave us alone, because if they were beating me up and I communicated with my older brother, he would come and beat them up, and they believed us. So, I mean, just saying that in and of itself, the children didn't realize that we were just ordinary people as well.
Racism towards my grandparents and their kids, being one of the only black families in Ottawa, was the cause of numerous consequences, being ignored, bullying in school, and prejudice from teachers. I asked my grandfather why he made such an impactful move to a country where he knew no one and was unsure whether he could make a life for his family. He stated that he knew coming to Canada would give his family the opportunity for a better life. He further stated that he wanted to give his children the opportunity to have a good education, since education is something that no one can ever take away from you.
I'm going to have to say yes, I do, because I've been back to the Caribbean, to Trinidad and Tobago on numerous occasions, and although my father's family was relatively quite wealthy in, Caribbean standards, I don't think that we would have achieved all that we did achieve had we not come here. I look at my cousins that remained in the Caribbean, and they did not achieve the level of success that we did.
Due to my grandparents' actions, they brought continuity to their kids by giving them a high level of education and changed their lives by giving them a proper education. In the 1970s, my grandfather said that he was at school teaching when they shut down the school, sent all the kids home, and told all adults to lock their doors. Then, the RCMP was storming the street, amplifying the situation, and said that he later learned that someone had been kidnapped and killed. To date, that is known as the October Crisis. The The October Crisis is historically significant to my granddad, as the school he was teaching in Montreal in 1970 was shut down due to someone being killed. While in Canada, my grandmother completed her education and became a nurse, and all of my grandparents' children were highly educated, completing college or university. Conversely, my paternal grandparents arrived and settled in Toronto in 1969. In my grandparents' interview, they discussed the reasons on why they immigrated to Canada.
I had to apply, get interview in 6 months' time, and I went for the interview, and I was successful in the interview, and they said my papers should be holistic medical and so forth.
For my hardship, I had to do piecework in a factory. Work in a factory. I had to go to night school. I had to upgrade myself, so that was a bit tough.
Yes, I had to struggle with all kinds of things to get a job. They asked you if you have Canadian experience. When I came here for the first day, I wouldn't have no Canadian experience.
To upgrade myself, get an education, and get a government job, good job.
I happens to have get Canadian experience, get a good job, and meet different people. I don't think it impacted their life. I think it helps them. They get a proper good education over here and happens to enjoy the best of it.
It's impacted life in a very positive way.
Funded my education. Have my own house, my own car.
In 1970, my dad and his little sister arrived to live with their parents. My dad and aunt, following their parents to Canada, brought continuity for their education and change to their living conditions. He discusses how his parents' movement reshaped and impacted his life and racism he encountered.
Hardship? No, I don't remember having any hardship. I got along very well with the kids in my school, and I participated a lot in athletics. And no, so not to my knowledge, I don't remember any hardship per se, other than it being cold, but other than that, no, that's racially motivated. To the question you asked me in regards to did I encounter any racial...
Racism?
Yeah, any racism. Closest thing I can recall as I'm thinking back is as I was graduating from grade 8 and going into grade 9, my teachers at that time wanted me to go to a technical school, and I had wanted to go to an advanced school, which I had the grades and the capability to do. And fortunately, my parents stood behind me, and I was able to attend this advanced school, which further I was able to pursue my education and graduate from university. So that's the closest thing I recall in terms of racism. Well, the technical school was, at that time, the way I viewed it, I went to learn a trade per se, whereas an advanced school I was able to learn, get higher educations in math, science, that sort of thing, and that would also allow me to enter university. With the technical school, I believe I could not go to university at the time. Yes, I do actually, because if they did not make that decision, my sister and myself probably would not be able to pursue our education with all these opportunities that is available for us. So yes, I do attribute my success to my parents making that decision to immigrate into Canada.
In 1982, my mother attended the University of Toronto. Accordingly, she met my father. When they compared their lives, they were amazed that they had parallel paths. Therefore, my mom and dad meeting at University of Toronto is historically significant, as they both went to University of Toronto for a proper education, started dating each other, and got married in 1992, having 4 children. I was born on August 26, 2000, and I am the third of 4 children. I have 2 older sisters, the first one Simone, being born in 1994, my second sister Lauren, born in 1997, and my little brother Noah, born in 2002. My family lives in Whitby. I am working hard in school, and I play a high level of soccer outside of school. My aspiration is to work in the medical fields and one day work as a forensic pathologist. Canadian history has played a key part in making me who I am, and hopefully my story and my family's lessons live on for generations to come. In the 1970s, my grandfather said that he was at school teaching when they shut down the school, sent all the kids home, and told all adults to lock their doors. Then, the RCMP was storming the street, amplifying the situation, and said that he later learned that someone had been kidnapped and killed. Today, that is known as the October Crisis. The October Crisis is historically significant to my granddad, as the school he was teaching in Montreal in 1970 was shut down due to someone being killed. While in Canada, my grandmother completed her education and became a nurse, and all of my grandparents' children were highly educated, completing college or university. Conversely, my paternal grandparents arrived and settled in Toronto in 1969. In my grandparents' interview, they discussed the reasons on why they immigrated to Canada. In 1970, my grandparents Due to my grandparents' actions, they brought continuity to their kids by giving them a high level of education and change to their lives by giving them a proper education.